Hello, everyone. We are live.
Hey everyone, we are live and we have, as always, Daniel Horine, artist and creator of Pop Fly Pop Shop. Say hello, Daniel.
Hey, folks.
And the man who needs no introduction, his voice put me to bed on Sunday nights as I watch Sunday night baseball all the time. He's still with the Phillies if you want to hear him. John Kruk, thanks for making some time for us.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Well, let's hope baseball gets started soon so you can hear me some more. But things are going along, so we'll see how it goes.
We are there with you, but maybe you're a Kruk fan, you're not sure what this is. Go ahead and show this amazing print, Daniel, that you did this week. This is the release, the Krucker, and I can't wait to find out more about the inspiration behind this, but this is a print that Daniel does every week. It is not a comic book. It's a comic book style art. You can get it on popflypopshop.com. It's only available until Sunday, and then it is retired forever. There is an autograph option. John Kruk's being gracious to sign these. And right now, if you want to get your question to John Kruk, send that question in the chat, and Daniel will give a giveaway to the question that resonates with him the most. Let's get right at it. John Kruk, this is ridiculous. When you think of yourself as a comic book character, how close is this?
That was awesome. It is badass. I've had so many of my friends that saw it have texted me, and they're like, "Man, who did that?" And I said, "Man, this guy just, he just said to you, hey, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Holy crap, man! I mean, it is unbelievable." And it captures the mullet, which I'm trying to bring back, but it ain't working. I don't know. I'm getting too old, I guess, to grow hair that long. But it captured the mullet in its entirety, which is a big thing for me.
Now, Daniel, are we right? Is his mullet attacking people, like sort of like a Medusa snakes thing? Like, what is going on here?
Well, that's up to the interpretation, but it certainly is like the Kraken, with his multi tentacles. We have this fun-spirited John Kruk with the ringlets of these lovely 1990s mullet, acting as the tentacles of the Kraken.
Now, would you be a villain, John Kruk, if you were a comic book character?
Oh yeah. I don't think I'd be the nice guy. I mean, that goes against everything I believe in. But a hero, I don't know. Someone said I was a superhero, and then the Darren Dalton Foundation actually backed them up and said I'm a superhero. But boy, I don't know, man. I think people drink too much when they're making these claims. But I don't know if I'd be a hero. I'd probably fit more in a villain mode, I would think. At least if you ask my family and friends.
Now, the mullet look, it just seems like the Phillies were the perfect fit for you. The hard nose, hard work in town. Like, I think of a team like the Yankees where they still make you shave. Was the Phillies was that the only destination that was perfect for you?
Yeah, it was the right place for me at the right time. Being out in San Diego, I loved it out there. The city's unbelievable. Everyone who's ever been there knows how beautiful that place is. But, I grew up in a small town in West Virginia, but, we always were gritty people back there. We had to work for everything we got. Nothing was handed to us. Growing up, money was scarce. So, we had to make do of our own. But when I got traded to Philly, I thought, man, this is, after I was there for a couple of weeks, I thought, this is a place that, is going to be my second home because of the fact that I guess my personality fit in with the fan base there. And, like I said, it was just a whole different animal going from, San Diego to Philly. And, you got this stuff now. Ben Simmons didn't want to play there, and he wanted out. And I've known other guys. I played with guys that were very talented baseball players, but couldn't handle Philly. And it's not for everyone. Someone asked me about Ben Simmons the other day. Said, "What do you think about him?" You can call him all the names you want. Some people aren't made to play in that city, and thank God I was, because I love it and I love it there.
Well, there's a wrestling organization that came out of Philadelphia, ECW, And I read that they actually modeled their franchise after the '93 Phillies. Have you heard this story?
I no, but that's I'm a big wrestling fan, so that's something I need to talk to them about because only things I watch on TV now, like I watch the Sixers when they're on, just because my kids like watching them. The Eagles every Sunday when they're on, or Monday or whenever. I watch them. But the rest of my time is spent on real programming, which is wrestling, Swamp People, Wicked Tuna, and the Food Network. I love the Food Network, but my family keeps saying you watch the Food Network all day, but you don't cook anything. And I'm still learning. Y'all relax. I'll make something soon.
Well, apparently there was a wrestler named Balls Mahoney that wanted the pattern. He wanted to be the John Kruk of ECW. So you need to look into that.
Yeah, I got to check that out. I like I said, I love wrestling. It's just something that we grew up watching as kids. I remember watching with my aunt. My God, it had to be. Well, I'm 61, so it had to be about 50 years ago. That's how long I go back with wrestling, watching it with my aunt. So she turned me on to wrestling, and I'm thankful for it because I still watch it to this day and love it.
Well, hey, Daniel, can you show the print again? And as Daniel and I were talking about just your look, the mullet, the everyday man kind of persona, we've decided that you intentionally under-promise to over-deliver because we look at your skill set, John Kruk. One, your speed was amazing. I mean, you had the 18 stolen bags. Yeah, you were still an outfielder in '87. But listen to the stat line. In 1990, you had 8 triples and 10 stolen bases. For fantasy baseball, for a first baseman, that'd be insane today. How serious did you take your base running?
Well, it was, when I had Larry Bow as a manager in San Diego, both in AAA, and then, the year and a half he was manager of the Padres, he stressed it. He said, you don't have to be fast, just read and react. And he said, practice reading balls off the bat, knowing who your outfielders are, what kind of range they had, what kind of arm they had. Can I take a chance? On a ball hit down the left field line, can I take? Look, Barry Bonds, you basically stayed at second. Barry got to everything quick and was accurate. Tony Gwynn in San Diego, the same way. You had to be, you had to be on guard with those guys. But a lot of the guys that had like great arms weren't real accurate. So you could take a chance with those guys. But it was stressed to me at an early age when I got to the big leagues from Larry. And we carried that through into Philadelphia. And, we weren't the fastest group, but we did run the bases well. And it was something we practiced a lot.
Well, you want to guess how many base steals a first baseman had last year who led the majors?
Oh, I would probably say about, 10? 2. Oh, good God.
Brandon Belt had 2. And you were ripping off 10, my friend.
Well, 1 year I had the year I had 18, I hit 20 homers, I think, and Larry Boa kept saying, just keep running. He said, you got to get 20. But I found a ball off my toe and broke my toe. I think I got thrown out like 4 or 5 times in a row, and I'm like, man, I'm just running into outs for no reason. And so I had to shut it down as far as trying to attempt to steal a base, but. I look, when people looked at me, pitchers and catchers, and, was I the element of surprise? I'm sure when they looked over when I was on first base and they looked over, they probably thought, this fat guy ain't going to run. But sometimes you got to trick them.
Yeah. Daniel and I talked a lot about your defense too, John Kruk. For your 10 years in the majors, you had 42 errors, which is insanely low. Your lifetime first baseman fielding percentage is .995. Talk about your defense and how hard you valued that.
Well, I never really played that much first base in minor leagues, maybe a handful of games, just out of necessity sometimes. But I don't know if it was my rookie year, maybe it was my rookie year, my second year. Steve Garvey broke his thumb, and well, it had to be my second year because Larry Bowen came to me and he said, "Hey, you play first base, don't you?" And I said, "Oh God, yeah." I didn't know anything about it, man. I just wanted to play, because I was stuck in the outfield like as a fourth outfielder with, Tony Gwynn, Carmelo Martinez, and Kevin McReynolds out there. There wasn't a lot of opportunities
No room.
to hit the plane, to get on the playing field. So I said, absolutely, I played first base. I remember going to Sandy Alomar Sr., who's our infield instructor. I said, Sandy, can you come here at noon tomorrow? And he said, yeah, why? I said, you got to teach me how to play first base, man, or Bo's going to kill me. So that's how I learned. And, so I started watching, I always tell kids when I'm talking to them, you can learn as much watching as you can doing it. And so I watched a lot of Keith Hernandez. I thought Keith was, the gold standard at first base as far as, how aggressive he was, aggressive on bunts, aggressive throwing. And, I wanted to be like that. And so I took a lot of pride. Now, I remember the first time I got a grounder hit to me with the runner on first, and I still had the high outfield arm, and I one-hopped Carmelo Martinez in left field. And so Gary Templeton and I came out and worked on that one a lot. Gary helped me a lot with, trying to get underneath it a little bit so it stays on a lower plane. So it got better.
So what are you thinking playing first base in the ninth inning when Mitch Williams is pitching and there's a little dribbler down third base and he barehands it and spins? What are you thinking?
I go into my Bernie Parent mode, man, and I just became a hockey goalie, trying to knock it down.
Yeah.
It was, that the thing with Mitch is he wasn't that inaccurate when he was off the mound. It's just on the mound, which I guess thinking about it, that's probably the wrong way to go about it because a lot of guys can't throw to bases, but they can throw to home. Mitch was the opposite. Mitch was pretty accurate, but he caught me once. But it's like we talked about it. He claims he saved my life because that's when I found out I had testicular cancer after he drilled me with a skipper off the wet grass in Dodger Stadium.
Wow. Hey, one of my favorite memories still, though, is when he had that walk-off hit in that extra inning game. I don't remember what year that was, but that was a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it might have been 93. It was like 4:40 something in the morning. You should have heard the people there at that game. But, there's people coming from, like, what we were told, there's people coming from bars at, closing bars at, 1:30, 2 in the morning. And the next thing you know, a bunch of them are at the vet. Man, how do we get more people from when we started? Usually it thins out as the game goes on because it gets kind of boring. But, man, the crowd started picking up. They were loud.
Wow.
And, I don't think that was a Padres kind of crowd right there. That was a pure Philly crowd. Man, them people were crazy, man.
Well, Daniel, can we show the print again? Again, it's only available until Sunday. Go to popflypopshot.com. Release the Krucker. I'm starting to wonder if his mullet is actually attacking the Liberty Bell, Daniel.
I think he's carrying it.
Okay, fair enough.
I would never attack the Liberty Bell. That's right. I've never seen it though a lot in person, so that's something I got to do this summer.
Now, Kruk, you may not know this, but Daniel is the biggest Del Murphy fan I've ever known. So, what can you share a Del Murphy fan from your short time together in Philadelphia?
Well, one, you hear all the stuff when he was in Atlanta. Winning MVPs, and everyone says, "Oh, we're one of the nicest guys you ever meet." And so, you kind of come in with like, "Yeah, come on, man, ain't no one like that, ain't no one that nice." But my gosh, he was that nice, and he's still that nice to this day. And whenever when we were still traveling with the team and with the Phillies, like every time we go to Atlanta, we'd have lunch together, and he was just as good a teammate and as good a human being as I've ever found. And I put him right up there with Tony Gwynn, Darren, Dave Hobbs, guys like that. As far as guys that I love being teammates with and love them as people. And Dale, I mean, he's just one of the most incredible people. So let me tell you a quick story though about Dale Murphy. I one day, we finished the game in Wrigley, and he had struck out a few times. One time he got a little upset and he flipped his bat, and I had to jump over to the on deck circle. And so, when you leave Wrigley to try to get to O'Hare, it's not a short commute. You're in traffic. It takes a while. And I'm not going to lie, I had a few adult cocktails on the bus after the game and on the bus. And so I think I was sitting with Dave Hollins on the bus, and I said, watch this, I'm going to try to get Murph to fight me. So I started in on him, and he was reading the paper, not even paying attention to me. So I got louder, and And I said, Mormon, my, what? I said, I heard you say a bad word today. And then you tried to hit me with the bat. I said, tell you what, you ever throw a bat at me again, I'm going to kick your ass. And I kept going on and on and on and on. And finally stood up. And he looked at me and he goes, Johnny, he said, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to come back there and bop you one. I'm not kidding you. I've never been more scared of anything in my life because, first of all, he's a huge man. Second, he's had all these years of pent-up frustration for being so nice that I just, if he'd have came back there, he'd have killed me. And I would have deserved it because
so good.
I pushed him to the limit. But, yeah, he sat back down and read his paper, and I sat down and finally, after a few more drinks, I got real quiet.
There you go, Daniel. I bet you haven't heard that one.
That's new for me.
Well, I know we were in Atlanta when I was at ESPN. We were doing a Sunday night game, and we were in the media dining room up there, and I was with Dan Schulman, and Murph walked in, and Dan looked and he goes, "Oh my God, that's Dale Murphy." I said, "Yeah, so what?" He goes, I've never met him. I would love to meet him. I said, well, let's go talk to him. He said, that's Dale Murphy. He said, we can't just walk up and talk to him. I said, okay, we'll have him come over here. He's like, you can't have Dale Murphy come over here. I like whistle. Hey, Murph. Hey, Kruk. He comes over, introduce him to Dan, and Dan's like, oh my God, you know him. I said, you got to get to know your partner, man. I played with him for like a year. He said, I can't, oh my God. He goes, I got to meet Dale Murphy. This is incredible. He's one of my idols. I love that guy. I said, look, get in the back of the line because everyone loves him. I don't know one person that don't like Dale Murphy. And if they don't, they're bigger, what's than I am.
There you go, Daniel.
Well, John, I want to share with you, I'm lucky enough to call Dale Murphy a friend now. And so I shared with him what you had said, that he's one of your favorite teammates and an even better friend. So I asked him, I said, Murph, do you have any stories about John that I
Here we go.
Share? So I'm going to read a text I got here from Dale Murphy for you, John. He says, Krukie's always been great to me. Love that guy. 2 stories come to mind. When I came to the Phillies, a reporter asked him to assess the Phillies team now that I was there. He says, well, now we got 24 morons and 1 Mormon. And the second story, he says he's with the Padres. I'm with the Braves. He's playing first. I get to first base somehow, haha. And he says, hey, Murph, how you doing? And I said, oh, man, hanging in there, Krukie. And I was struggling. Krukie says to me, yeah, well, I checked your stats out on the big screen when you came up to hit. I said to myself, man, I thought I was struggling. Now I don't feel so bad after I looked at your weak numbers, Murph.
Oh.
He was just telling me the truth, haha. But the guy could hit, great teammate and great friend.
You know what? He's a salt of the earth. Look, if I have 2 kids, if they grow up, well, they're kind of grown, but if they grow up to be half the man that Murph is, I'd be the happiest dang parent in the world because he is incredible. He used to send a Christmas card every year, and every year one of the kids had to write what everyone in the family, now 8 kids, Nancy, of course, and Dale, wrote about a paragraph on each one. and he has a son, Travis, that has Down syndrome. He wrote a card, and I ain't kidding you. I've never cried so hard in all my life. I mean, it was
Mm.
so touching and so emotional. It's just, how he spoke about, his mom and his dad and his brothers. It was just, I mean, it was incredible. And
Right.
oh man, I mean
Mm.
that one hurt. Well, he called me when he finally had a daughter, and he called me and he said, Nancy and I are done. Now, when someone tells me they're done, I thought they were getting divorced. I'm like, you idiot. He said, she's the greatest woman you could ever meet. And he started laughing. He goes, no, he said, we're not going to have any more kids. We had a girl. I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah, I remember that. I told him one time, too, my mom loved Dale Murphy. I remember when I was probably 16, 15, 16, we finally got cable in our small town of West Virginia. So, we had TBS. So we got the Braves games and we got WGN. So we got the Cubs games. And my mom loved Dale Murphy. I mean, absolutely loved him. And so remember, he had that mole. He had a mole, and he cut it out. And that's when the year he was struggling. I saw him doing BP, and I'm like, you're a lot better hitter when you had that mole on your face. Oh my God!
Oh, this is
So
so good.
he looked at me and he's like, "What? What?" And I said, my mom's upset with you. She loved you." And I told him this before about how my mom loved him. And I said, but man, I said, if she's upset you got rid of that mole. She goes, that was your thing, Murph. I said, like Cindy Crawford. Cindy Crawford got rid of that dang thing, and why did you? But yeah, it went on and on for a while until he finally basically told me to shut up and leave him alone.
All right, we're here with the Comedy Hour with Daniel and John Kruk. Let's talk about Dale Murphy. I love it. Daniel, can we get to a fan question that sparked your interest?
Sure, one moment here. Okay, now, John, here's a question from Shane Moss, and Evan and I are from Southern California, the land of Vin Scully. But Shane asked, Harry Callis said the '93 Phillies were his favorite team of all his years with the franchise. Do you think Harry was the greatest baseball announcer of all time?
In my opinion, yes. I know Vince Scully's, the way he's revered by all the other announcers, play-by-play guys is incredible. But I'm going to say Harry just because I would venture to guess that, oh man, it had anywhere between 300 to 400, maybe 500 beers we've had together. So that's why I love Harry. And Harry and I used to, if we played in Philly, we were going up to New York to play. Harry would get a limousine, fill it with beer, and we would drink beer all the way to New York and argue, talk baseball, talk players, I mean, it was incredible. And then on the planes, we played cards together. When we did fly, we always played cards together. He and Whitey, Larry Bow and I, and Jim Fregosi and I, we played cards with Harry. And, it was sad when, after we left it, apparently some of the players at that time didn't want the media guys in the back of the plane because that's where Harry sat. So Harry had to move up and sit more up front, and that really chapped my rear end there. But you just don't do that to Harry. Harry was one of us. He was one of the part of the team. Richie was part of the team. Andy Musser, Chris Wheeler, and all those guys that announced when we were playing. Kent Colby, of course, we love Teak, but they were part of the team. They were part of us. They made us. Harry gave me the nickname the Crooker. And he gave Chase Utley the nickname the Man. When they give you a nickname, it tells you two things: that one, they like the way you play, and two, they like you as a person.
Yeah.
I just remember when Richie died. Richie's son called me, and he said, "Hey," he said, you were my dad's favorite player. And I'm like, wow, really? And he said, yeah. He said he don't tell people things like that, but he loved you, whatever. He said, would you do us the honor of being a pallbearer at his funeral? I'm like, oh my goodness. But we hung out with those guys, and I'm sure that the Dodgers hung out with Vin Scully. Why wouldn't you? You'd want to be around him to hear his stories. Man, it goes back, to Brooklyn days. So, I would pick Harry's brain. I'd talk to him about the former, the past, the '80 Phillies, and all those guys coming up together. Schmitty, Boa, Bull. Coming up through the organization, and then getting Carlton and some guys in Trey, Pete Rose and stuff, and finally winning a world championship. And we talked. I had in-depth conversation. I knew more about those guys before I knew those guys. So just from listening to Harry and listening to Whitey talk about him, and Chris Wheeler, Wheels was like a Phillies historian. He don't miss nothing. So those guys hold a special place in my heart. I know Vin Scully. If you took a straw poll of the world, that anyone who's ever watched baseball and they've heard Vin Scully, they're going to say Vin Scully, and rightly so. But my heart is with Harry.
That's a great answer. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, John Kruk, we've gone way past what you committed to, and I appreciate your storytelling. But, man, if you want a first baseman who has a 400-plus on-base percentage, stellar defense, first to third, triples, stolen bases, home runs, loves the fans. I mean, you're the guy, man. You were the guy. And you were on base before Billy Beane made it sexy, too, by the way.
Yeah, I saw a thing where Billy Beane said the Moneyball thing, the metrics, he said, I was watching the Phillies in the 93 World Series, and I saw their stats, a high on base, high walks. He said, that's what I tried to figure out and pattern, from that team. But you know what the great thing about that team? Like, you hear guys now talking about, oh man, we got to walk a few times. We never talked about walking. We just decided that if it wasn't a strike, we weren't going to swing, and so we did walk a lot. It wasn't rocket science. They don't throw a strike, don't swing. You're going to walk. It was pretty simple on our part. So, we, like I said, we never went and said, oh, we have to get on base X amount of times. We have to walk X amount. It just happened that way. Because that's the way our team was built. It wasn't discussed. It wasn't a game plan whatsoever. We just knew that if they didn't throw strikes, we didn't swing.
We had a 500 on base that World Series. Just saying.
Oh, I have no idea. That's
Well, John Kruk, thank you for the laughs and the stories, and I hope to hear you back on the actual airwaves for Phillies games. I hope that gets resolved by Monday. Thanks for being willing to sign these pop flies. Thank you so much, John Kruk. Any last word for your fans?
Well, look, this picture's awesome, and I would love to sign a ton of them for y'all. And I know one thing. I'm getting one too to put in my office. I don't have much crap in my office. I think I got a World Series jersey, and that's about it, really. I have more like stuff with Harry, Tony, Darren, John Vukovic, all the people who passed away that it meant a lot to me. I have more of a shrine to them. And but this is going up right there beside that stuff, man.
Awesome.
I mean, it is incredible.
Thank you, John.
Nice words there. Thank you so much for your time, John Kruk.
Yeah, no problem.
Woo. Those are some compliments, man.
Wow, wowzers, yeah.
Wow. And he will have one in his office, but you can have one at your office too. Go to popflypopshop.com. Now we have to warn you, usually we do these like midweek, and so you have a couple days before you need to snag it. It's already Friday, so you need to snag this thing real soon. On Sunday, it is retired forever. And I just noticed on the Popfly Pop Shop Facebook community page, someone was like, oh man, I missed out on the yips, one of the earlier ones. And he's like, I thought I ordered it and I realized I didn't. How do I get one now? And it's already in the $200 to $300 range. So don't be the guy or the gal who forgets to get John Kruk. Just go right after we're done. Or you can, multitask and get it done right now. Autograph option is there. Is there any way, Daniel, you can pull up that print again?
It's up right now.
Okay. I don't see it, but
Okay.
I see it in my bosom because it is engraved in. Walk us through again. So obviously you have the options of Kruk playing first base. You can have him hitting. You chose to have a more of an abstract, menacing mullet attack. Oh, that's a little brave of you, not knowing how he would react. Yeah.
Why? And I had done several sketches, and I usually give players an out. Like, here's a very safe sketch, and here's something more conceptual, abstract, and I love it. I love it when the players are willing to take a chance with me. And so I was just thinking about John's personality and his character, and as we saw here, he's tons of stories. He's funny, and what a great spirit. So I wanted to make a fun piece rather than sort of a hero piece of him at first or swinging a bat. Like, I thought something that's a little bit more abstract, more fun, and just having fun the way John Kruk would have fun. And he has such a great quote. One of my favorite quotes in all of baseball was his reply to someone, I think, that came to him while he was eating dinner, and his dinner was all sorts of things that you wouldn't associate an athlete eating. And I think she was saying, aren't you an athlete? Don't you need to be like eating healthy and training? And he says, I ain't an athlete, lady. I'm a baseball player.
That's
and it's
so
just
good.
One of the greatest quotes of all time. And it's such a great just encapsulation of his spirit, his essence, and just the fun that he seemed to have. So I wanted a piece that sort of matched that fun.
I mean, I think he's so relatable because, I look at a 7-foot basketball player and I don't relate to that. I don't see myself as that person. But there's some baseball players that like Kruk, or maybe like Mo Vaughn or Prince Fielder, where I'm like, they're kind of out of shape a little bit. Like, I feel like they're a normal being that I can connect with. And then it gives us a false idea of, if they could do it, perhaps somebody like me can do it. But we realize, like Kruk, we talked about, we dig deeper in his career and his stat lines are ridiculous. And so he had this weird superhero-esque dichotomy of presenting something visually, but then like beneath the surface, there was this great athlete.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very, very much. And as I was thinking about it, it was like a superhero with like a secret identity in a way. It's like a smoke screen. And he even brought it up himself. The pitcher looking at first base. Okay, there's no way this guy is going to steal. That then becomes his secret weapon to do the unexpected.
Yeah, like the earlier Spider-Man comics, no one suspected Peter Parker of ever being Spider-Man because he's this high school like nerd. And so no one ever thought he would have been and that's, I love it. Yeah. Man, so you're so gifted at pulling out these stories, Daniel. Okay. And making it. My only complaint is these should each be books. Like,
if they weren't once a week, maybe they could be.
Maybe down the road. I wanted to see Julio Franco throughout time.
I'll say this. I hope we haven't seen the last of Julio Franco. I think there's it's a fun storytelling vehicle for sure.
And I'm going to be that guy to say I told you so, because when you did the Franco piece, for me, it instantly went into my top 5, and it was received well, but it didn't hit that top tier like I thought it was going to. And now you're seeing the clamoring of, man, I should have got that one. And people who received it were like, oh, I'm so glad I got that one. I told you, everyone at home, I told you. But you still have time to get the Krucker. I love that when you released it, I think you teased it by release the Kraken, and somebody asked if you were going to do hockey now. And your reply was, slow down, I'm just starting football. Yep. How is that football journey going?
It's a lot of fun, and I'm loving it more as I go. And there's just so much there, and there's a lot of stories that I have never heard. But as I go through it, there's so many parallels with baseball and just sports in general. I would imagine, and I say it often. The heroes, the villains, the upsets, the good guys, the bad guys, and so it's a whole new just treasure of stories, but a lot of familiar themes.
Am I correct, too, that the Pope is still available until this Sunday?
That is correct.
So right now, you can go to popflypopshot.com and you can get the Pope, and you can also get the Kruk, the Kraken, and there is an autograph option for the John Kruk one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, circle back to one more, something Kruk said at the end that I think warrants a retelling is the Billy Bean era of the A's GM, who really promoted, the main goal of a batter should be to not make an out.
Yep.
That is your sole focus of a hitter, is to not make an out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's a walk, that's great. And that's even better because the other pitcher is throwing more pitches.
Mm-hmm.
What Kruk just said was they did not value that, but Billy Bean looked at them and saw their success and extrapolated what made them successful, determined it was that approach, even though that wasn't a cognitive approach. That's a big deal. Did you guys all hear that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's, it's funny too. And I think that it's a good parallel for life. I think we do things, react to things, we feel things, but we don't yet have the language or the thoughts even formed around as to why we thought that, why we felt that, why we did that, so those feelings, thoughts, actions might come first, and then like the meaning, might come later, or the importance given to that might come later.
Yeah, that's a good word from both of you guys. Well, Daniel, I love again that I love it when you do Hall of Famers. I think a part of me actually prefers that slight tick down from the Hall of Famers, just because their stories are often told less and they're not on the radar of everybody. Any hints of what is next in baseball land for you?
Just like the game of baseball, it's a weird sport and anything can happen. So we'll see together what comes out next.
What in the broad story of actual MLB baseball, the story right now is MLB is saying if we don't resolve this by Monday, regular season games are going to get lost, and we're not going to do the whole like doubleheader catch up thing. They're just gone. And I don't know, that concerns me, because I don't think baseball has the equity in the fan base as it once did. And is it recoverable?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's such a disappointment. I think getting the retraction that the game has gotten and the visibility only to come as far as we have, and then to have this happen. It's a huge disappointment. I think you're totally right. It has less good graces with the fans than it has. So
I hope the fans, you guys understand why that's an inappropriate question to ask John Kruk, because he's a former player, but he's also works for MLB. So he's kind of one foot in both worlds. And I don't think it's fair to put him into a position where he's going to alienate one group that he is connected with. I don't know if you had to, I just don't feel like I choose a side. Like, I feel like the owners and the players both want me to take their side. And I don't look at either one of them as a victim per se. It's like you're billionaires who own a baseball team, and you make a whole lot of money off of us, and you guys are getting paid a lot of money to play baseball, and you chose to play baseball. And I don't know, I'm just not really sympathizing with either one.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to put it. This is interesting too, and this is certainly not a well thought out thought here, but what's been really interesting to me is in doing research for the Pope, the Vince Lombardi piece, I learned that the Green Bay Packers are one of the few like fan owned franchises, and so it just got me thinking how that model would work in a scenario like this, especially if you have maybe one team or a few teams that are fan owned, and it's just got me thinking like how that would play into things, what would change if that was common. But yeah, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I know some of the issue seems to be where football, they don't have a minor leagues. That's essentially what college is for football. And so baseball, you have this weird thing where you have hundreds of minor leaguers that are hoping to get to that final level. I mean, hundreds and hundreds. And some of the debate is how well should those guys be getting paid? And it's just this is supply and demand, where you have more people wanting to be baseball players than there are spots for on professional teams. And And I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen to where either the ticket prices are going to go way up, or every franchise says we cut our single A team and we're only going to have 2 minor league teams or 3, but we'll pay them better. But I don't see this getting resolved by Monday. It's really.
Yeah, I'm hoping it was just sort of like a saber rattling, by MLB's part. It's a big bark, but little bite. That's my hope.
Yeah,
and Steph Getty does mention here that the Braves owner is a public company, and I do own stock in the Braves company. I think Liberty,
yeah,
Liberty. But yeah, they're one of the few as well. Anyway,
and I'm sure their stock went up with the World Series there.
Yeah. She also goes on to say the quarterly reports released today. Braves brought in millions and millions this year. So, yep.
Yeah, but then you look at a guy like Freddie Freeman, who's essentially beloved by the entire baseball universe, and he's in no man's land right now. He belongs to no team, and we'll see where this ride goes. But Daniel, I love the direction you went. Everyone grab a Krucker, and you can decide: do you put him next to Lenny Dykstra? Do you put him next to Bill Murphy? Or do you have a recommendation or where you would put him by?
Also teammates with Kent Tekulve. So,
was he with Frank Thomas?
Who, Kruk?
Yeah, he was on the White Sox 1 year near the. Someone fact checked us real quick. Was he with Frank Thomas?
He had to have been. I don't know for sure, but yeah, maybe someone can fact check us. But I'm pretty sure he had to have been.
You could go deep cut and put him with Frank Thomas, but the main thing is get him. Daniel, thank you for your time. Do you have any last words for the Popfly fan universe?
Thanks for coming along. Thanks for hanging with me when I take these chances and showing up to these events like this. I really do appreciate the support. And as always, it's a small team, my wife and I and our little boy. So we've got a pretty high volume trying to get through just a few of us. So bear with us as we get through it, and a lot of growing pains, but we are learning a lot and getting through everything. So thank you for your patience. And yeah, that's about it.
That's a great word. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Hope to see you again real soon.
Release the Krucker.